Hello, my name is Aaron Murdock, and I would like to discuss the future of social media. In 5 years from now, 2023, Facebook could be quite different than what it is now. Recently, Facebook withstood the Cambridge Analytica fiasco, and it did see some loss in stock values for the few months following the fiasco. Recently, it has become more of a platform for older generations. In speaking with younger generations like my nieces and nephews, as well as reading up on some articles online, it seems that many of the rising generation do not really prefer Facebook as much as other platforms such as Snapchat, Twitter, Tumblr, etc. Along with that, lately I have seen that more sponsored content has been appearing. I've experienced this lately with posts saying, similar to posts I've interacted with, and it would then have a sponsored message from some specific page on Facebook. I believe that this could be something that continues into the future as Facebook tries to find ways for companies to directly address and advertise to Facebook users. Unfortunately, in recent years, as we've seen with election cycles, Facebook has become a bit of an echo chamber. That is, that many people will unfriend those who don't share their opinions just so that they can befriend those who do share their opinions and reinforce those opinions. It causes more division among people, and as it says here on the slide, many people are unfriending those with whom they disagree. This is not the aim of an online community. Facebook's market share fluctuates, as any companies would, but it has been on an overall decline over the last year or so since December of 2017. This indicates that going forward, especially with the loss of the younger generation, Facebook could see a decline in the market share. Right now, it's sitting at around 70%, but we could see that decrease by 2023, and I expect that that could decrease even to as low as 40 or 50%. This is a chart showing that decrease as a general decline from December 2017 to December 2018. It also includes the increases or decreases of use in other platforms. As you can see, Pinterest has seen an overall steady increase with a little bit of dips during August, September, and October, but increasing again in December. With Twitter, you can see, again, a general overall increase in users. And as for YouTube, YouTube fluctuates, but you can see that there tends to be more of an upward trend than downward. As for Instagram, just overall it seems to have remained relatively the same. Now my predictions for the year 2023 for Twitter are based mostly on a TED Talk that was recently given in April of 2019. A few people from TED interviewed the Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, and he said that Twitter wants to be a platform for discussing global issues, that that's one of their goals going forward, not just a place for likes or a place for vitriol and echo chambers. He said that the company hopes to incentivize healthy contributions back to the network, as he quoted, by changing the layout of Twitter and how users interact with the layout. This would include things like creating community groups, or allowing users to find communities and subscribe to those groups or communities so that they have specific posts on their feed, more relative and relevant to them. If this company, Twitter, can alter the direction it's been going to reach their new vision, Twitter could become a major player, more of a major player than it already is. And it could be the main platform for serious political and global discussions and conversations going forward. That is one of their goals, is community building. It could also become a major source of news online, even more so than it is now. There are other platforms, of course, YouTube, Twitch, Snapchat, Pinterest, etc. Now, as for some of these, there has been an increase in subscription models taking over, especially for things like YouTube. You might know of YouTube Red, that gets rid of the ads, the annoying ads that interrupt your videos. Pandora, there now is Pandora Premium, where you can get rid of ads, and Spotify, Twitch have similar things. Now, without subscriptions, currently the ads are invasive and they interrupt the service. With the subscriptions, those ads are either taken away or greatly reduced. In the future, more platforms may require subscriptions. That's my expectation, is that in 4 or 5 years, many more platforms would require subscriptions. This is especially true if internet service providers can start charging for access to specific websites. Such services may need to find new ways to increase revenue if their user base is suddenly cut because they become something that is a premium service from internet service providers. With net neutrality repealed, or at least partially repealed, the internet could become nationalized, perhaps by 2023 or 2028. And that would prevent ISPs from interfering with free discourse and discussion. But nationalizing the internet would also mean that Big Brother could collect more user data. Therefore, they could monitor us more than they already are. And going forward, right now, net neutrality doesn't seem to be affecting much, or the repealing of doesn't seem to be affecting much so far, but these types of things are slow and incremental. It's the analogy of placing a frog in cool water and then heating up the water slowly so the frog doesn't jump out. Predictions for 2028 for Facebook. Well, let me first point out that Facebook will be 24 years old in this year. The rising generation is already not using the platform and favoring others, as I mentioned before. Now, this could leave a gap for a new platform to take over, something akin to what Facebook was when I was a teenager. And this new platform, or these new platforms, would appeal to the younger generation who uses more short video clips, like we see in Instagram and Snapchat. They communicate a lot with memes and GIFs and other interactive media, emojis, etc. So going forward, there could be opportunity for new platforms to rise, especially by 2028, that allows the Generation Z and those who are born afterward to interact in different ways than what we're seeing on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. right now. That said, many people may be wanting a platform that keeps track of their lives. This is something that was pointed out by the Twitter CEO in the TED Talk. People are looking for a way to journal their lives for their friends and family to see. Something like this is what Facebook was originally. It was a way for groups of friends to interact online and share photos, share status updates. Facebook could become that if it changes how it is currently going and how people interact with each other on the site. Unfortunately, with as much division and with as many echo chambers going on the platform right now, that would mean some major adjustments. As for Facebook itself, there's also an opportunity with the rising generation to rebrand itself or to create a second platform that appeals to the youth. Rather than brief posts, people may want permanent records of their lives, as I previously mentioned with the diary or journals. And this is something that could be more useful, not just for older generations, but for those millennials who are growing up, and for even Generation Zers who feel like other platforms don't offer that other platforms are too brief. You post something, you interact with it, and then you don't think about it anymore. Whereas more and more, the expectation is that people will want something they can interact with for longer periods of time. As for predictions for 2028 for Twitter, Twitter is currently like a newsfeed, and it is used as such for many company CEOs and other leaders, as well as heads of government and other government figures. The CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, he said that the company is considering what it wants to be doing on the platform, wants people to be doing on the platform when they interact with it. And he knows that Twitter will continue to be a part of global discussions. By 2028, my expectation is that Twitter could be the main source of news for most people to go to for live coverage of events. It already is for many people. But what I'm thinking is that with the changes that the CEO discussed, as far as being able to subscribe to specific groups or maybe even news channels on the app, that means that you could open Twitter in the morning and see your feed with all of the latest news, receive updates from Twitter on happenings going on. And the CEO did talk about how it's already part of that. When major events happen, such as the attacks in Florida, the other terrorist attacks that have been going on around the world, there's the opportunity for people to indicate that they're safe. There's the opportunity for live coverage of it with video feeds, and this will just grow exponentially going forward, especially as there's an increase in technology's capacity to live stream events. My own prediction is that there will be groups and organizations one can subscribe to and add to the feed for news coverage in various topics. Not just news coverage, but interests, personal interests, similar to kind of like a joint Twitter Pinterest. In conclusion, general social media will shift greatly in the next 5 to 10 years, and it could go either way, either toward more divisive tactics, echo chambers, etc., or return to its roots of bringing people together and more of an online community for sharing life events and sharing the good, positive things. In general, the internet will change greatly, also as virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and augmented reality are developed further, with increases in technology that we will have, including increases in RAM, increases in storage space, in internet speeds, etc. That means that there will be greater opportunity for social media to shift into a more virtual reality space or augmented reality space. There will also be opportunities for there to be more artificial intelligence interaction going forward. Think of Siri or Google Home or Alexa, but more interactive. And so, just as some examples, computing and processing power will increase if it follows the current trend. There has been a slight taper off in recent years as far as the ability for physical computing. And so, my estimation is that because so much money is being thrown at it, quantum computing could become a major thing in 10 to 20 years, particularly for corporations, large corporations to look at. And as far as the VR capabilities, if we can increase the quality of VR than from what it is now, you can see more face-to-face interactions. Think Skype in virtual reality. There's also augmented reality, of course, and that may have flopped with Google Glass, but the idea could take off like we see in sci-fi shows. This could perhaps begin with military advancements, just as we've seen before with things like lasers and drones. With augmented reality and artificial intelligence, many advancements, I believe, will be forwarded or pioneered by the military, and then they will be released to the citizenry after a few years. As for AI, it could challenge our ideas of ethics and what it means to be a human. As it becomes more advanced, more realistic, it could start being a real issue if interacting with an artificial intelligence arouses certain ethical dilemmas inside of the human mind. Is it okay to kill an artificially intelligent being? Is it considered a murder? Is it not? And many shows and books go into this conversation and try to examine this, but many of these questions may not be answered until we arrive at that point.